Hawaii. My name is Thomas Trumbly. I'm running for Osage Nation Congress. Today I want to talk to you about my platform, but before I go into that, I want to let you know that I do regard this platform as taking from our Constitution and our 25-year plan. This 25-year plan is produced by our Osage Nation, and the Constitution was formed for our Osage Nation. These things I encourage each and every one of you to get a copy of so that you can follow or better understand what our nation's foundations and current positions are. These water rights should be protected just as much as our mineral rights. With that being said, a brief synopsis of our water rights necessity is coming from a concern. This concern is that our aquifers in western Oklahoma, New Mexico, West Texas, all the way to California are drying up. In order to replenish this stuff, it could take 10,000 years or an act of God. Also, our waters in our eastern United States are polluted, oftentimes with industrial waste or big city waste. Some of our only water that is left that is in pristine condition is in the middle part of the United States, what we call the Plain States. This is where we reside. Our nation is in the Plain States, and I have a little map here. This map that I'm showing you, this is what I like to call transparency. And any of you should be able to get this and even further details if you wish from our Osage Nation Natural Resources Department, which is also where I got our water regulations. This is a map of our underground water aquifers, underground water sources, provided by the U.S. Geological Survey that was done in our nation 2 years ago. I think it's important to protect both our underground water as well as our above ground water sources. With that being said, let's see what the nation has done in the form of protecting our water sovereignty. And in 2014, Congress passed ONCA 12-68. That's ONCA 12-68. It bestowed power of water regulation to the ON Department of Environmental and Natural Resources. This is where these regulations come from. Although there is something that I have been looking into, and that this ONCA 12-68 was to be codified and placed on an ON code book under Title 13, Chapter 2. So I looked through Title 13, Chapter 2, and all I could find was the wording about eagles and the protection thereof. I had to, however, search the whole code book, and until I came across Title 28, I did not find anything on water or water rights. What I did find was the last sheet of Title 28, which says, water and water rights reserved. So since 2014 till now, I'm interested in knowing what have we done as Congress to make this change. So, everyone, I'd like to talk about culture and language. Well, we as Congress set laws and codes because we are a sovereign nation. Our main components of sovereignty, or of anyone's sovereignty, is culture, language, land, and government. Well, our culture and language is well on its way. We have many great programs in place. Many advances are taking place, And the people that are hardworking, that do the job day to day to make this happen, need our continued support. Acquiring a land base back is quite a challenging process. Recently, our chief, known as Kahika, bought back a large chunk of our reservation, of our nation, called Blue Stem Ranch, 43,000 acres. This was a once in a lifetime opportunity. However, it is not currently in trust or restricted status. We are working towards that, but we are not there yet. But things that are there are the Cobell Settlement, which brings land buyback program using federal dollars for trust and restricted land, which that means that trust and restricted land is ready to go and we can do things faster. Little stats. The average funeral cost $10,000 to $15,000 in our area. To buy a plot at a public cemetery, it costs $400 to $2,000 in our area. We do have a burial assistance program of $5,000 plus wood. What can we do different with the land that's already restricted or in trust? Well, we can put our own Osage Nation cemetery there so that Osages all across the world can be brought back and buried in our own national cemetery. Funeral costs are getting expensive. Some may say that we need to increase burial assistance funding, or we need money for our own funeral home. Well, guess what? These people are right. But there's only one problem. Where will the money come from? Funding for our nation currently is from federal and state grants and contracts, plus gaming. There's only one problem. Our projected revenue for fiscal year 2019 is $6.4 million less than fiscal year 2018. LLCs, I got a little message for you. You need to put out or get out. After $20 million, after so many untold years, and no dividends, well, guess what? That's just not good enough. And another thing, this year Congress appropriated you $1.1 million for your economic development. Well, I don't know where that stands, but I promise you this, LLCs, without transparency, with no plan, with no accurate financial records, then for me, if I'm elected, you will not receive 1 cent. So I'd like to talk to you about opportunities, something that I came across, which is off-range pasture. Well, this is through the Bureau of Land Management. Some of you may kind of already know what I'm talking about. Well, I am talking about the wild horses. At one time, our Osages had 8,000 horses on this nation, all over. Well, guess what? We can have it again. How's that possible? Bureau of Land Management. There may be naysayers. I'm not worried about them. I'm worried about seeing something like this happen. Why? Because when I drive down the highway, I see it on other ranches in our area. I see it on other land masses in our area and our state. So to me, there probably is a reason that some of the failing ranches, or some of the ranches that want to subsidize their losses or do whatever they do to make money, are doing this program for a reason. Well, there are rules and regulations to this program. It's a bidding process. With that being said, we as Native Americans, we as the Osage Nation, have a better chance because we're already in the federal process. Here's what I'd like to show you. I'd like to show you an opportunity for our nation. These are some figures that I have from the minimum to the maximum. We as land-based owners have this opportunity now to utilize the maximum of this program. This will help offset a lot of our costs and could possibly help fund other parts of our programs and LLCs without being a detriment to our nation's fiscal responsibility. I would hope that each and every one of you could take a good look at this and look into the program that I looked up through the Bureau of Land Management and take a look for yourself and see what you think. A few final thoughts I'd like to leave with you is that I have no pet projects, I have no hidden agendas, and I have no strings on me. I Trumbly ask for your vote through absentee or on June 4th for Osage Nation Congress. I'll be number 4 on the voting ballot. Thank you.